es solo mente.
I vow to always be the same young G, even when they change on me. There ain't a stain on me. Vow to always be me, do me. Vow to always be the same young G, even when they change on me. Boy, these some cold ass streets.
Yo, welcome back to another episode, guys. We want to thank y'all for y'all patience. We know we've been gone for a little bit, but I'm Cameron.
And I'm Dean, and this is the Collective Efforts podcast, where gentlemen collectively discuss common experiences while continually working to build and improve one another. We're in the new year, guys, so we're just going to hop right into our topic. First off, Happy New Year's to everybody.
Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's. We got a topic today we want to discuss about forgiveness. And first off, how would you define true forgiveness, Cam?
Forgiveness, true forgiveness. I feel like it's just taking a past situation where somebody has wronged you and you just let it go. You know, release the tension that's in your heart. That's what I believe that true forgiveness is at the end of the day.
Right. I feel the same exact way. I feel it's letting go of an offense or wrongdoing that someone else has done upon you. And like you said, just releasing the tension.
Yeah, just letting it go.
Letting it go. Letting it go. Is it, along with forgiving somebody, right? Does that mean you're never going to be mad at the situation again?
Nah, absolutely not. You can forgive somebody, but a situation happened, you know, like you're never going to just forget about it. You know, you're going to be mad, you know, especially like the weeks following, but after a while, you know, it's going to fade eventually. You're going to not really, you know, care too much about it. But I feel like you know, it's always going to be in the back of your head, especially depending on what you forgave the person for. You know, like if it was
so
like,
it also
like
varies by.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it just varies by situation and by. Would you say it also varies by like friendships?
Yeah.
Like how deep the friendship is.
How
if
deep
we're talking about friends?
No, not for sure. How deep the friendship is, and yeah, absolutely. Because like if we got into it, right, I'll be more willing to forgive you because you my best friend, right? If me and Dejan got into it, I'll be more willing to forgive y'all because y'all my best friends, right? If I got into it with like,
what about?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what about somebody you don't know? Let's say somebody who, I don't know. Let's say somebody on the road, right? Somebody cuts you off. You see him at the red light. Let's say they going off because, I mean, it might not happen a lot in Texas, but it's pretty more so common in like northern states like Jersey, New York area. And how would you handle that situation in terms of forgiveness? Like, would you be able to forgive them off top? Would you take a second and step back? Because me personally, I feel like in those types of situations, even though they're very heated situations in the moment, I feel like I could find enough kindness in my heart to be like, hey, maybe they're going through something that day that made them have that outburst, right? Do you feel the same exact way? Or
As far as somebody cutting me off in a car?
I mean, any situation that's like that, somebody you have no idea, somebody, you know, you see in the store, you know what I'm saying, something happens and they wind up just like cussing you out or something like that. But you'd have no idea. You don't know them.
Man, look, bro, I'm gonna be honest with you. I really got like this mindset to, if like I don't know you, I don't really too much care about like what you say. I mean, if you cuss me out, if I don't know you, I feel for me it's nothing to forgive because what you told me, it didn't affect me in the first place. But that's just me. Right now, if somebody just cussing me out in the store, I'm kind of gonna look at them crazy, like, okay, I'm gonna walk off at the end of the day because I ain't trying to get into nothing anyway. But for me, the my forgiveness just depends on the person and the situation. Now, I forgive everybody, right? Like, of course, like I'm gonna forgive a person, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's anything to forgive because that person doesn't have a true impact on my life enough for me to actually get mad at that person for what they did or what they
Right.
said. As long as it's never physical, I'm good at the end of the day.
What about those verbal words that cut directly to the heart? You know what I'm saying? And often we aren't, let's be honest, often we're not in these situations a whole lot. But what if somebody says something, you know what I'm saying, about the color of your skin, you know? And this goes for any situation. How would you handle that situation?
Somebody said something about the color of my skin.
Mm-hmm.
How would I forgive them?
Would you be able to forgive them off top? Or how long do you think it would take for you to be able to forgive that person? If you would forgive them at all?
I'll forgive them because most people who are, considered racist, that's just how they was brought up. That's just what they was raised on hatred. I'm gonna forgive them for their parents' mistakes or whoever raised them to be hateful to another person based off their skin tone.
Right.
But like, I'm not gonna too much harp on it. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and argue with them. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna, all right, bet, and I'm just gonna leave.
Yeah.
At the end of the
I'm
day,
in the same exact boat that you're in, because I believe it is a big portion of that. I believe is how, like you say, the environment you were raised around. And so I'd be much more willing to forgive somebody based off that because, I think it's like kind of cliche, but I think love is the best, like, I guess you could say almost antithesis to it. Opponent, you could also say, towards hate.
yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm in agreement with you there. I got a question for you. Where does guilt come in terms of forgiveness, personal forgiveness?
Personal forgiveness. Man, that's a solid question. That's a solid question, Dean. I'm gonna let you answer that first.
See, I feel guilt comes in, like, especially, let's say, for instance, past situations, right? Something you did was wrong. And even though you might have apologized for it, you still feel that heavy guilt, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not sure if our listeners have ever been in this situation, but I'm pretty sure most people can relate. Whenever you think back to that past situation, you like, damn it, I can't believe I did that. And me and Cam both are Christians. And so ultimately we look to Christ to forgive our sins. But there are other people out there who, they think about it and then they can just fall into a well of depression just from that past guilt. Thinking about the situation, the thoughts can start spinning. And so I think the best way you can ultimately deal with it is to first, forgive yourself for whatever you did in this situation. Along with, actually, I take that back. First, you have to identify that it's guilt that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And then I would say you ultimately have to forgive yourself for whatever happened in the situation.
I agree. But I feel like the only way to forgive yourself is to accept the actions that you had did, because a lot of people don't accept what they did as being wrong. They still think it's right, even though they know it's wrong. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like the first step you have to do to forgive yourself internally is that you have to accept what you did was wrong. You know, realize that to yourself. And then as far as guilt go, if you know, a Christian, just pray for forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? And let it go. Because at the end of the day, you can't just sit there and beat yourself up about something that happened in the past, because the past can never change, right? But you can go back and right your wrongs. You know what I'm saying? Just don't do it again. Or like, if you see somebody else in a similar situation that um based off what you did in the past, like kind of stop them before they do it, so they don't go through the same thing that you're about to go through, or that you went through. My bad.
Don't go down the
In
same path.
situations, yeah, don't go down the same path. Don't go down the same path. So Dean asking all the questions and whatnot. I got a question for Dean.
What's up?
Do you feel that there are certain situations that are unforgivable?
It's funny because I literally had a question similar to that I was going to ask you. Are there certain situations that are unforgivable? I would say the only situation that's unforgivable is if that person who wronged you or offended you keeps on committing that offense. At some point, that's, I believe, is just who they are. That's their character.
Now, when you say continue to commit that offense, are you saying commit that offense against you or against other people too?
I would say against you, but it also could be against other people as well. If you're truly sorry, you try to turn and go the other direction, right?
Yeah.
But if you're not truly sorry, you're going to continue going into that direction, and at some point, you know, you're gonna keep on going into that direction. You know, I'm a firm believer in, you know, and this is gonna piss some people off, but you are who you hang around. You know, if you're a robber, you're gonna hang around robbers. If you're a killer, you're gonna hang around killers, right? And so I believe at some point you have to break it off and just say, you're not truly sorry for this. Or at this point in time, you aren't truly sorry about what you're doing. And so I have to turn and go in the other direction for my own well-being.
Now, is it the person's fault for continuing to commit the same offense, or is the other person's fault for allowing him to continue to commit the same offense? Because like you said, bro, you're a firm believer of people are who they hang around, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's true. I ain't believe that at first, but that is true. But why would you continue to be around somebody that continually wrong you if you already know they're not sorry about it?
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Why would you continually, because you say, you know, the only unforgivable situation is when somebody continually commit the same offense against you, right? Why would you allow it to get that far?
I would say because you're looking to see if they're actually changing. You know, because every once in a while, when somebody commits to a change, they'll start doing it for a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
Somebody makes a New Year's resolution. I hate to make this argument, but you know, most of the time, whenever people make New Year's resolutions, they start doing it a good 2 or 3 weeks. Then after that, they start falling off because something comes up, you know, and then they try to get back on it. Then something comes up again. And so just in that comparison, you know, I would say that's the best way you can tell if they're truly sorry for their actions, is if they're being committed to it. Now, depending on the situation, they might occasionally, whatever the situation. Now, since I said robbers and murderers, you know, it's kind of hard to really look at that situation and say, I'm gonna continue to hang around those dudes. But let me think of something more benign, if I can.
But basically, what you're saying is you're just checking to see if their actions match their apology.
Match their, that's a great way to phrase it. If their actions are matching their apologies.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on it?
As far as
how would you check to see if somebody's really sorrowful for their actions?
oh, what I just said is, make sure that their actions match their apology. At the end of the day, that's the only way to see if somebody is truly sorry. Now, I know in certain situations, certain situations come up to make people revert back to like old habits. But as long as they nip that old habit before it get out of line, we can, we can continue to do what we do. But you have like after like the first time, maybe a second time. After that, it's on you. I'm not gonna be here trying to help you nip bad habits after I already tried. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you're not sorry for it the first or second time, you're not gonna be sorry for it the third, fourth, fifth time, unless something tragic happens and you don't have a choice but to be sorry.
That's another thing too. And that's why I said, depending on that time, because that's something we often can forget is that like, people are in different seasons in their lives. Sometimes people are going through a season where, they're dealing with that habit, whatever it is, and they just can't get out of it. And something big has to happen to make them change their mind on that habit that they're committing. You know what I'm saying?
Usually, and it's crazy. It's sad to say. For most cases, it's usually like prison time or somebody, died or something like that. Because you see it all the time in prison when people have like long sentences. They be like, man, I wish I can just go back and not do none of that. Right. But now they got to sit here for 20 years to however long, and they got to sit there and think about it that whole time. If they would have made just a different decision, But that's why we always harp on, man, make sure the people around you is for you, because usually the people around you who actually care for you wouldn't allow you to make those decisions in the first place. That you have to feel like that,
Exactly.
But then, who has been like, well, who you believe is the hardest person to forget? Like who or what is the hardest thing to forgive, not forget, my bad.
You said who is the hardest person?
Yeah, who's the hardest person to forgive?
That's a tough one. I would say probably a close friend, right? Because a close friend is somebody, me personally, I always grew up with this worldview. Like a close friend, you can open up to them about anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's your boy.
I was saying we talking physical close friend, not close friends on Instagram, right?
Yeah, physical close friends. No, I'm talking about ones, you know what I'm saying? Like close friends you grew up with, close friends who, you know what I'm saying, you've told them personal things. Those type of close friends. I would say that probably hurts the most because for boys it's different, and girls always ask this question. They're like, "Man, how do boys not get into petty fights or anything like that? Like, why is it that boys can just click like this off the rip, right?" Yeah, and it's because honestly, we just have that common bond and that common knowledge that like, yo, there's certain codes that we just follow, right? So I would say that's probably the most painful, to be shorted by your boy.
Nah, for sure.
What would you say?
That's funny you say that because we both felt that pain before. But what would I say? Who's the hardest person to forgive, bro? We talked about this a little bit earlier. in the episode, but I feel like the hardest person to forgive at the end of the day is yourself. Because even though somebody did you wrong, right? When you go home, when you driving home, you're in a car by yourself, you come home, get in bed, you by yourself, right? You're not really too much thinking about what they did until you see them again, then you start thinking about it. But when you always with yourself, right? You never forget what you did, right? So I feel like yourself is the hardest person to forgive because you always with yourself. It's always on your mind, especially when all the noise is silenced. You always got that voice in your head reminding you about what you did was wrong. And sometimes it's hard to actually deal with it, without feeling sorry for yourself, without bashing yourself. Sometimes you might even slip into depression. So that's why I feel the hardest person is to forgive. You ever been in of course you've been in situations. Would you like to share a certain situation that you had dealt with in the past? We don't have to say names or anything, but a certain situation that you've dealt with in the past that you had to really dig in and forgive somebody for?
Forgive somebody else?
And if you do need time to think, bro, I don't mind going first.
Yeah, bro. Why don't you go ahead and go first?
For sure. So like, first and foremost, before I actually go into the story, I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but I just want to say, like, this is no disrespect, to anybody back at home and my family. You know what I'm saying? This is no disrespect to my mama, but the past is what the past is, right? So one of the hardest things that I had to forgive, and I have a reason why I forgave the situation, was when me and my brothers was coming up, we had to deal with some child abuse and child abandonment situations, from it started when I was in third grade, and honestly, it went on for a minute. I would like to say it ended in sixth grade, but that's not even much true because it really continued past that situation. You know what I'm saying? But like, there's certain things that we had to go through, and certain things that we were put through. I didn't feel was necessary. I didn't feel like it was any need for it. I don't feel like, to this day, I still don't feel like it's justifiable. But the only reason I forgave it was mainly because I saw the struggles that my brothers was going through with it and stuff like that. So I wanted to be the one to like kind of just let it, not necessarily say let it slide, but just let it go. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, that's our mom, right? You only get one of those. And I know, like, because you hear it all the time, like, older people be like, yo, like, I wish I can just go back and have a real relationship with my mom. I wish I can go back and have a real relationship with my dad, right? And, and whenever that day comes that, like, my mom passed, I don't want to be the one who say that. Like, I don't want to have that feeling like, damn, I wish I would have just forgave my mom and had a real relationship with her. Like, our relationship is solid now. It's not going to ever be what it could have been. But I'm cool with the fact that, like, we're on talking terms, because it was a point that I ain't talked to my mom for like years, bro. I think it was like 3-4 years. I ain't say nothing to my mom. So that was the hardest situation that I had to forgive.
Yeah, that's real, bro. That's real. I don't have anything nearly as deep. I would just say probably the hardest situation that I had to forgive someone was an example that you brought up, where forgiving yourself. I just remember I was talking to somebody, and let's just say it didn't end the way it should have, and I actually wound up doing her not the best way I could have, and I felt there's certain times, there's certain points I still feel guilty about it. Just from the way and demeanor that I handled the situation. And so, yeah, I would say that's personal forgiveness, as you brought up, is one of the hardest situations I've had to deal with, and especially with regards to relationships.
Nah, bro. Dean, you know, because we've been talking about this, but like I 100% feel you on that relationship, bro. Because you know, like the past stuff that we've been talking about and stuff like that, bro. Like I'm pretty much in that same boat right now. I'm forgiving myself though. I mean, like I can't go back and change what happened, bro. What happened is what happened. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day.
Right.
But before we close out, Dean, you got anything else that you would like to share, or any other questions that you had?
Nah, man. I mean, we're just we're happy. We're in the new year. We're thankful our listeners are listening with us, and
So,
yeah, we're thankful for y'all. Let's have a great year.
But before,
What about you, Cam?
yeah, we appreciate y'all for listening, tuning in with us, man. Y'all stay safe. If you wrong someone, it's a new year. You might just find it in your heart to tell them sorry randomly. I did it at the beginning. Well, I did it like 5 days into the new year. I said, take somebody that I feel like I done wrong. Told the person, you know, I'm sorry, you know, we'll live to see another day. You know what I'm saying? But we appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure y'all subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave a like, drop a comment down below. Follow us on Spotify. And since we're on this topic of forgiveness, we're going to forgive Apple Podcasts for still being messed up. So all the people who want to...
It's a new year, y'all. We're going to start off right.
So all the people who do want to listen to us on Apple Pod, forgive them. Eventually, they're going to get their stuff together. But we appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. It's a new year, new blessings. Y'all stay safe. You know what I'm saying? Spend some time with your families and the loved ones, man. Y'all have a good one.
This Collective Efforts, y'all. We out.